you're leaving California and looking to make a move to Montgomery County, Maryland, I've got to tell you, there's some things you're going to absolutely love and some things you're definitely going to hate. In this video, I'm going to break down exactly what clients from California have told me about relocating to Montgomery County and the DMV area, what surprised them, what frustrated them, and what made them stay. I've been helping people buy and sell real estate in Montgomery County, Maryland, as well as the surrounding DMV area for over 30 years. And over the last decade, I've worked with more and more families relocating from California, especially since remote work changed the entire game. These aren't theories, they're not guesses. These are real lessons from real people who made the move, and I'm here to help you make a smarter one. Now, here's how we're gonna break it down. I'm gonna share with you the top 3 things you'll love right away. The 3 things that might catch you off guard, what Californians tend to miss the most, and the most important mindset shift if you're thinking about making this move. Let's go do it. The first thing that jumps out to me is seasons that actually feel like seasons. And so if you like diversity and you like not the same old year in and year out, then this is gonna be a breath of fresh air. We all know that California is known for great weather. Obviously it can change dramatically depending upon whether in Southern California or Northern California. And in the Maryland area, especially the DMV area, and Montgomery County specifically, you're definitely going to get definitive changes between summer, spring, fall, and winter. Fall is beautiful in this area. Spring is lush, and yes, winter can bring some snows. Now, I have been a lifelong native of Montgomery County, Maryland, lived here my whole life, and I've definitely noticed, like we're all kind of noticing, some weather pattern changes. We've probably had what I would consider maybe 8 to 10 blizzards. I don't think we've had anything like that in probably close to 10 years. You know, over the last 20 years, we really have not seen very many of them. I do remember Snowmageddon that we had in 2009, where we had 2 blizzards back to back, but really since then, we don't get that. We've had plenty of winters around here over the last few years where we may get 2 to 3 inches of snow the whole year. So I'm definitely seeing a warming trend. Definitely seeing less snow. Spring and early parts of summer do bring along a lot of pollen, so we are known for a lot of pollen in this area. If you have allergies, that's definitely something that you want to take into consideration. Also, summers, we can have really intense heat here. Now, it doesn't last forever. However, July and August, oftentimes it's not crazy that we might get a little streak where we've got 95 to 100 degree weather for 3 to 5 days, maybe a week. But I would say on average, you're looking at upper 80s to low 90s in July and August. Now, the next thing that jumps out to me that you kind of need to know about the Maryland and the DMV area is affordability. I deal with people that relocate here from all over the country. Most of the people that come here, I would say that 80% of them, if they're not coming from New York, New Jersey, Boston, or California, or maybe Seattle, they're somewhat shocked by the prices here. However, I have to tell you, it's a breath of fresh air if I get Californians who are relocating here, because oftentimes they feel like a kid in a candy store. They think these prices are great and low. In Montgomery County, we have a large county here. We have over 1 million residents. It's the largest county per population in the whole state. It's also the priciest county in the whole state. If you're looking close in to DC, in areas like Bethesda and Chevy Chase or Potomac, you know, single family homes are definitely going to run you, in most cases, $1 million. You need to budget for that. And of course, it can go up much higher into the upper millions to 10 million, 15 million or so for something really large and luxurious. As you move further out, obviously you're going to get a little bit more for the value. And then there's parts of Montgomery County, like the upper parts of Montgomery County, like areas like Damascus and Poolesville and Clarksburg, where you can get larger homes. You know, the values are much less. You know, you might be able to get 2 acres and a 4,000 or 5,000 square foot home for around $1 million or under $1 million. What I find for most Californians who are relocating here is they find this, our area, to be pretty darn affordable. One of the other points that's good to kind of drive home and manage your expectations is the proximity to power. That sounds pretty evil. However, you know, obviously we are a suburb of Washington, D.C., close to world-class museums, job centers, politics, and cultural institutions. Feels kind of like the East Coast version of being plugged in. You're not isolated, you're where things actually happen. Now, Montgomery County, it also does have many great restaurants as well as D.C. Now, we're not really known known like New York City or Chicago or LA for that matter for our cuisine. However, there are a lot of world-class Michelin star rated restaurants in the Montgomery County as well as the DC area. Beyond museums and cultural events and dining out, there's also a lot to do when it comes to being outdoors. You are somewhat limited because of seasons. Going to be times of the year where you're probably going to want to be inside a little bit more than outside. However, there's a lot of great things to see in the Montgomery County and DC area. A lot of great spots like the Potomac River at Great Falls, where you've got the C&O Canal, the Chesapeake and Ohio Canal on one side, the towpath, which takes you from actually Brunswick, Maryland, which is probably about 45, 50 miles north, and it actually takes you all the way down into Georgetown. So you can ride your bikes, you can walk. It's got a great towpath. Now, before you throw everything into a van and head east, let's talk about the flip side, some of the things that might catch you off guard, and you know what? Frankly, some things you might just hate, and it may mean the difference of you not coming. And you know what? If you make that decision off of good, solid information, that's a good thing. First thing I'm going to start with, it's humidity and bugs. Californians, prepare yourself. July and August aren't just hot, they're sticky. Prepare yourself for humidity. If you're into dry heat, you know, this might be a completely different heat that you have never experienced before. When it comes to bugs, I have to be honest with you, I don't find the bugs around here to be too terribly bad. You know, if it's an evening in the summer and it's wet outside and everything, you could get mosquitoes, especially if you're close to water and everything, but I don't find the bugs to be too terrible. We do get the cicadas that come, every 14, 15 years. You shouldn't have to worry about that for a while, and once again, they don't really bother you. They're just kind of an anomaly that you'll see from time to time. One thing, though, that we've started getting recently, and this is actually a really good tip for you, is over the last 2 years, we've been starting to get these spotted lanternflies. Last year, 2024, was the first summer that I've ever seen these before. They're really kind of stupid bugs. They kind of clumsy. They fly around. They, pop on your shoulder or whatever. This year, 2025, oh my gosh, they came here like crazy. And the one thing that I learned is that they like certain trees. They freaking love maple trees. Now, and how do I know that? I had one tree in my backyard, just one tree, and it was a maple tree. Didn't know about it until this year, but they freaking loved that thing. They infested that tree, which made my backyard difficult to go out in, and they actually killed my freaking maple tree. We're going to replace it with a crepe myrtle, but you're looking at buying a house. I wouldn't make a decision about coming here or not coming here because of stupid spotted lanternflies. However, if you're coming to this area and you're looking, I would definitely check to see on a home you're looking at if it has a maple tree. The next thing you need to know about is driving and traffic flow. And once again, if you're coming from like the LA area, San Diego, Northern California, honestly, pretty much just any part of California, I don't think you're going to be too terribly surprised when you get here, and you probably are going to find out that the traffic's not as bad as where you're currently living, but it is something to know about. Next, let's talk about the type of properties around here, the ages, the maintenance, and the styles, because I think you're going to find that it's quite a bit different from what you're going to see in California. Now, I will tell you this, a lot of my California buyers, they come here and they say, you know what, we want that classic contemporary, the Californian contemporary. The one thing that I've learned, and I've just learned this from other Californians, is our version of a California contemporary is not your version of a California contemporary. You just simply don't find a lot of them around here. Now, we're starting to see a little bit more, in more of the luxury end, in maybe Bethesda, Potomac, where you've had some tear down homes, or maybe it's new construction. I'm from Maryland here. I've lived here my whole life, so what I consider a contemporary probably isn't what you consider a contemporary. So you need to kind of manage your expectations. This is a very conservative area. Now, I'm not necessarily talking about politically, I'm just talking about in style. You see a lot of the colonial style homes got typically 3 levels, where on the main level you're going to have living room, dining room, great room, open concept kitchen, maybe a first floor office, maybe a bedroom or so. And then the majority of the bedrooms, the baths, are upstairs. And in this area right here, the majority of the homes we have in the DMV area and Montgomery County do have basements. When you're looking in the down part of Montgomery County, like your Bethesda, Chevy Chase, Silver Spring, you're going to find a lot of older homes. A lot of these homes were built almost 100 years old. You're going to find homes that were built like in the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. As you start moving a little bit further out, up county, into areas like Rockville and Gaithersburg, you're going to see homes that were built kind of more 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and some today. And then as you move even further out into areas like Germantown, Clarksburg, you're going to find probably a little bit newer homes in construction. There's not a ton of new building that's going on here, and what new building is going on tends to be mostly luxury. We also have a lot of planned communities in the area. I live in Kentlands. I've done videos on Kentlands. I've got 2 of them linked below, so you might want to check that out. Awesome planned community, great for families where everything's walkable. But there's other communities like that, like Downtown Crown, Falls Grove, King Farm. Now, these are in the kind of the Rockville, Gaithersburg area, so I would call that more central to upper part of Montgomery County. But we do have a lot of these, and these communities have primarily been built, since about 1990 up until today, where there's still some new construction that's going on in like Downtown Crown. So you might want to check that out, but we've got a large diversity of the type of homes, prices, costs, things like that. Those are the immediate highs and lows, but let's say you've been here for a while. What are some of the things that start to creep in over time? I talked about it before, healthy lifestyle access. There are great gyms, studios, and markets here, but they're not always around the corner, and depending on where you land, might take more intention to maintain the California level health routine. Let's talk about that thing that's really kind of hard to know until you get here. That California laid back vibe, it's not here. If you are on the East Coast here, pretty much there's definitely a much different vibe when you start looking at from DC all the way up to Philadelphia and into New Jersey and New York. You definitely will notice a different vibe here. It's not as laid back. A lot of people will say, hey, the people in the DC area just aren't friendly. I think what the issue is when you get near a big city, especially on the East Coast, people are more guarded. Everybody has a ring on their door. They want to know who's coming in. I'll hear people complain like, people don't say hi. They don't make eye contact with you when you're on the street. And of course, my first question is, but do you do that? And they're like, well, no, because they don't do that. Well, my opinion is somebody's got to be that one to take the first step. Somebody's got to be the one to say something when you're walking on a walking path, say, hey, hello, good morning. That's one of those nuanced things you really can't feel until you get out here. But those are my views as an insider, as a native who's lived here for 59 years. What are your thoughts on it? Is this something that you're like, the hell with that, forget it, I don't want to go there? Is it something that you're still interested in? If you are, and you're interested in even discussing this a little bit further, got this QR code on the screen right now. You can scan it and book a virtual meeting with me online for 15, 20 minutes where we can talk about whatever you want to talk about. I'm going to keep it real. I'm going to tell you the good, the bad, the ugly, probably even some things in between that you really should know. I'll answer all your questions. So if that's you, love the opportunity to talk to you. If you're not watching this on TV, I've also got a link below that you can click on and just set up that time to meet with me. And I will see you next week.